are we are back, baby. Let it do, baby. As my laptop is about to explode.
It's running hot.
No, you can just hear that fan.
It's running hot.
All right, we are Gucci. Yo, what to do, GG Nation, GG Legion, it's your fella again, Strauss fan, the GG. Welcome to another episode of GG and Friends, episode 70. The summer of no E3. It continues here. I do want to apologize. We were supposed to do this before I left for Green Bay. I got all confused. I thought I was leaving Monday, and then I ended up leaving Friday, and then I was gone for 10 days. We will be back with another pod, though, next week for Stranger Things Season 4. So we're excited to talk about that. I know the last two episodes came out a few weeks ago. But this is our catch-up for the summer of no E3. We're going to cover all the shows that Lou and I watch. I know I didn't do a lot of live streams of them. I do apologize for that. But hey, we're effing back, baby. It's been a minute. Again, I apologize. How you doing today, Lou? Thanks for joining me.
Good. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. It's been a minute getting back into the swing of things. I want to shout out to my family up north. Shout out to my aunt and uncle and my little cousin Jack, Slubbo himself, the horny boys. What up, Savage? How you doing? How you doing? But we're gonna cover everything before we dive deep into like every press conference and stuff that happened. I want to talk to Lou for a second and see what he's been gaming for the last month and a half of video games. It's been pretty crazy. I went on a trip and was gone for 10 days back. What you been gaming, Lou? What's been going on?
Well, for one, I've been playing Stray. I'm about to get the plat in both of them.
Taking advantage of that premium, huh?
Definitely am, yeah. I did a little Man-Eater PS4. I've been doing a lot of MLB The Show content. Started digging in on Days Gone and Final Fantasy VII Remastered. So, I've been a little busy here and there, including other stuff that I've been doing outside of gaming. So, I've been pretty busy this summer.
Yeah, it's really been a summer of Nintendo. Xenoblade came out today. Normally I'd be on day one on that, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, but I didn't get my collector's edition. I missed the boat on that, so I'm a little jaded. Also, Digimon Survive came out today too. I'd be playing that, but a lot of sacrifices, a lot of the premium. I've been playing before I left, I had over 40 hours of Final Fantasy 12. I was replaying that again. I'm like more than halfway through that. I got Stray downloaded. I haven't beat it. I haven't played it, I should say. I haven't started it yet. I was working on the Mini Masoto program. I probably got one more start to do. Then I should have the card for that. I've been playing a lot of the show. I'm kind of in a aloof mode where I'm not super into the story-driven stuff at the moment because it's been a little quiet, especially on the Sony side and Microsoft side, summer-wise. It's been really Nintendo.
Yeah.
And Soul Hackers is going to be here really quick, so I'm going to be playing that. I am going through Guardians of the Galaxy again, PS4 version, playing that. And right before that, I played Tales of Arise, PS4 version again, so I got to experience both of those games and having a lot of fun, man. I hope that Guardians game gets a sequel because it's an awesome game. It's really, really, really fun. And then I know Square recently sold it to Embracer Group, so hopefully they continue the legacy. Oh. Lou was gonna go silent here for a second, but I have been taking advantage of the premium as well. I I'm enjoying playing Final Fantasy 12 again. It's the biggest reason why I was playing it again, because it was on premium. We're about to get the whole Yakuza line. We're getting Yakuza 8 next month as well, or next week, I should say. Really next week. I know a lot of people are diving into Crash 4. And it's been a pretty solid 2 months of PlayStation Plus and Premium. And it's an interesting it's not Game Pass, it's not Game Pass is obviously the better deal at this moment, but if you just are getting a PS5, get the $100 of the premium, and you will not let it down. You will get all the new stuff, Demon's Souls, Returnal. It's an excellent deal for newcomers for PlayStation and the hardcore. I dived in Ape Escape a little bit, Siphon Filter, tasering people back in the PS1 days. So it's been interesting diving in. I've been meaning to play some, get around and play some more stuff, but I mean, it's just time is flying by here, and there's only so much of it you have every day. But like I said, I've been kind of aloof. I've been playing the sports stuff. I'm getting ready to pre-order some stuff. Very excited for Soul Hackers. Cannot wait to play that. I'm trying to knock out as many games as I can before that comes out the end of August. Normally, I'd be on Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Game looks great. Looks excellent. I love the first two. Eventually, hoping they will add some more special editions. I want to get that. I know Bayonetta got a release date. It's been really good. It's been really, really solid. This has actually been quite the interesting summer of no E3. They canceled E3 again for this year. And as soon as Lou gets back, I do want to ask him some questions. But it was interesting and probably a little, maybe a lot better than I expected. I wasn't expecting a lot of the announcements we actually got, and Sony participated, Microsoft and Bethesda had their big conference. Nintendo had a mini direct of third-party stuff, and even Square Enix had a bunch of big Final Fantasy announcements, which we were I guess expecting. I was expecting more 16 than anything, but we got much more than that we'll go over here in a little bit. I'm sure Lou's giggling as he's as he's on mute here. But he'll be back shortly. I want to know, going forward, what you guys and gals think of this summer no E3. Was it a lot better than you expected? Make sure you smash the hell out of the like button. Comment down below what you think, because I'm really interested. I know a lot of you really love E3, and I do too. I really do like E3. E3 used to be a really special time. Every June, it's like, yes, it's like the nerd Super Bowl for gamers. And Sony walked away. Nintendo just does directs. Microsoft still keeping that alive, very much. But we'll get into their conference here in a second. I'm interested to see what Lou thinks, but I don't necessarily think they had a bad conference at all. All right, so sorry, we're just waiting for Lou to get. Well, he's back. He's back.
Sorry, I had to get my get my lottery millions.
1.2 billion, baby. I hope you win it, man. I hope you win it.
Yeah, my uncle came in, and this one,
I understand, man. It's family. I get it. But let's before we dive in the nitty gritty, I do want to ask you about the
Yes.
summer of no E3. Did it live up to your expectations, or was it a lot better than you thought? What'd you think
Well,
of it? Like, just generalization before we dive into
well,
each conference.
well, I was gonna say, y'all gonna have to forgive me. There's a lot of things that I don't remember
Mm-hmm.
from. I'm probably not gonna remember from E3 because it's been a while. We've been busy this summer, but I mean, I really don't think it really paid off without PlayStation being there. I was not really hyped. I don't want to go too far into it because we'll talk about it in a little bit. But this is really Nintendo summer, and Xbox didn't really leave a mark for me. So, and we're not going to see anything from PlayStation until probably September.
Which will be
So,
their big, blowout for sure.
yeah,
Which it
I mean,
usually always is, and they're starting Logan and everything. Okay.
I think they showed PlayStation. What was it, Last of Us, right? The remake.
They
And it
showed
was
a
just
lot
kind
more
of
than
up.
that. They did have a direct, a PlayStation, not direct, sorry, a PlayStation State of Play. They actually kicked off the Summer
Yeah,
Games Fest. Actually, they actually had quite the State of Play. For me anyway, what I liked, but
yeah, and it was probably it was the most viewed, right? That was
most
what was going
viewed
around most.
ever of all E3 conferences too, which is kind of shocking to me because Sony used to have the best E3s. Like, they've had some of the most amazing moments in E3 history, and that's why a lot of people are holding on to. They want that back, and I just don't know. It's like a bad breakup. I just don't think it's ever gonna really happen like that again.
I wish it would, man, because it's good for gaming when you have one event and you just have all the great companies, all the good gaming companies come together and bring their best stuff to the event.
Mm-hmm.
It's good for the fans, and man, I know Sony not being there just makes everything very very watered down, dry. Like, with Xbox, mostly everything that they showed, I think five of them were exclusive, five of the games. So we'll get more into that in a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. It just didn't leave a good impression on me this year.
For me,
So
I was actually quite shocked. It was a lot better. We had a lot bigger reveals and announcements than I thought we would have. For not actually having an E3, not Sony not actually having a traditional press conference, but they opened it up pretty, quite well for me in my personal opinion. Square had some huge Final Fantasy announcements that I was not expecting. I was expecting 16, but not getting a Crisis Core remake and then getting, Rebirth, Final Fantasy Remake Part 2. Like, I
was
wasn't
that
expecting
technically
that. Like, that was big.
was that technically E3 though?
Yeah,
Like that was
it was part of the summer's games fest. It was the summer of no E3. That's why we're kind of lumping it
yeah.
together. And then Capcom had their moments as well. Revealing Street Fighter 6 at Sony State of Play. Dragon's Dogma 2 got a teaser of a teaser. Of a unveiling. And of course, Sunbreak just came out for them, so they're making a shit ton of money on the Switch right now when it comes to Monster Hunter. So, I mean, I was pleasantly surprised of what we got. It was quite interesting, and kind of have to give it to Jeff a little bit. There actually was for me, in my personal opinion, I think there was some good content here, some good surprises. And his own particular show, that was the Naughty Dog stuff that you mentioned. We saw the Last of Us remake. They're making a new IP, which we already knew. We saw concept art of Factions, which we already knew about that. They showed Street Fighter 6 Guile, a new Alien game. They had COD Modern Warfare 2 Layers of Fear, Goat Sim 3, the joke, haha, which is, they're skipping to. And, they had a much more things, Saint Row, etc., on his show. So it was honestly really not bad. I think Jeff quietly had a good summer games fest. Was it the we didn't get like the Elden Ring DLC but I mean, getting some of the stuff he got and getting Last of Us remake, I think that's big. I think we saw some of the show too. I think they showed some stills of the show, but a lot of it is stuff we already knew. So the surprise isn't really there, but I think it's good, and I think it's kind of good. The more and more I look at Last of Us Part 1 Remake, which I can't believe we're saying that, I think it's good. I think it's really good. I think it's really good for because I think a lot of people really forgot how good that game is, and I think that remake is going to remind a lot of people, hey, there was a reason why people were upset with Part 2. It wasn't just hullabaloo and nonsense. There was some actual merit to what they did about Part 2. Part 2. But man, Part 1, like, I'm hella impressed, man. They have a 10-minute demo and on the PlayStation channel on YouTube, and wow.
You think you're gonna do a spoiler cast for the remake?
I like how you brought that up because I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, should we do like the third fucking spoiler cast of Last of Us Part 1? I think we might. I know a lot of people really like the spoiler casts. I'm probably not gonna have one for Soul Hackers because I don't know if Chad the Bearded Wonder is getting it. I don't know if Angry Steve's getting it. I don't know if JJ's gonna play it. You're not picking it up right away. So I don't know if I think our next big one might be Last of Us Part 1 and then God of War, because Forspoken got way pushed back. And I think we'll do one for Callisto Protocol. I'm very excited about that game. But that's December.
The reason I asked in particular, I mean, that I know this is like the third time that this game is here. I mean, PS3, and then it was remastered, and now it's remake. But there's more elements to this game now with 2 coming out and all the controversy with 2. So, maybe, you get that refresher why this game was great, and maybe changes people's minds and opinions. I shouldn't say it that way, but maybe you just have a different light of the game. So maybe you would want to talk about it compared to 2.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I really do think a lot of people are going to remember, because I played Last of Us Part 1 after 7 years, a week before Part 2 came out, and a lot of people didn't. They just went right into Part 2 and went into, the Twitter nonsense and the protection and all that. But that was JJ and I did like a 2.5 hour spoiler cast of that one, so you can go watch that on our channel here. And it has its merits and it has its good qualities of the game, and we talked about that. But I really do think the more and more I think about Part 1, I think a lot of people are going to really remember and be like, damn, this is... I could see why people thought this was the game of the generation. And it was for some people. For you included, it was your game of the decade. That game means a lot to people. It's I can objectively, if we all put our heads together, I could say Last of Us Part 1 is, a top 5 game in gaming history. Would I necessarily put it in my top 5? Probably not. I'll probably have some weeb shit in there. I'm going to throw some Persona in there and stuff. But I can objectively, if we're actually, sorry, my apologies. If we actually are combining thoughts, I could easily be like, yeah, like Last of Us Part 1's a top 5 game, and it deserves to be there.
Yeah. That's when you have your own, top 5 or top 10, it's what you like. Mm-hmm. So it could be Terminator Salvation if you really like it. I feel like that's your top 10 game.
Oh,
so,
man.
But it's gonna be interesting to see people play this game, and then I want to see, in particular, because I would like to see people play this game and then go and play 2 and see if they still feel the same way. Because I feel like a lot of people protect Part 2.
Me too.
It came out during a very vulnerable time, I guess you would say. and I feel like it's just heavily protected. So, now that there's a couple years gone by, we are remaking the first game, the game that I felt that was the game of the decade, the game that a lot of people grew to love Sony exclusives.
I had
No,
so
it's
many couples, I had so many people that never gamed come into said place and talk about Last of Us Part 1 and how it got them into gaming and how they would watch, their significant other play and how they got into gaming because of watching Last of Us Part 1 and how good that game was. And I think, we shrug our shoulders a little bit when it was like, oh shit, it is really happening. Like, it's fucking real. But the more and more I think about it, I think it'll be good in the long run. Not just because of Sony's pocketbook, because we're buying the game for the third fucking time. But
I think this remake was good.
Hearts and minds.
If they don't change anything and they leave it intact like the first game, this remake, which is reportedly what they're doing, they're not going to change anything to, fit in with game number 2. I think this game is a good reminder of what really put Sony on the map. The type of games that they made. So
Yep.
I think this is very good, honestly. But
Yep. All right. So we talked about Geoff's, and that was his biggest thing was The Last of Us Part 1 reveal. Let's talk about Sony, who actually kicked it off with their state of play, and it was pretty impactful for me as a fan of Capcom and Square Enix. Having RE4 remake, unveiling Callisto Protocol there, which is the creators of Dead Space. I really thought it was Dead Space.
I did too.
Final Fantasy 16, the VR2 stuff. All the VR2 announcements looked really good. And then the final reveal of, Street Fighter 6. We got Stray on Premium. That was a big announcement there. Shout out to Eterna Knights. The creator, that small studio, is a big fan of Persona. So they based that game on Persona. It looks very Persona, but I was I was like, man, that's kind of a really good state of play, and then to hear it was the most watched one, I was like, damn, that's kind of interesting, obviously that's not counting their September reveals and stuff like that, because that's called something different. That's their showcase, which is usually their big 45-minute show, which I'm excited to see what we're getting on that one, because they've been kind of tight-lipped. They've been really quiet for the summer. But what'd you think of that state of play, Lou?
I thought the state of play, from what I remember, and thanks for the refresher for some of the things, from what I remember, I thought it was really solid. And we talked about it afterwards, after we watched the Xbox one, and I think I remember saying that it was probably the best one there. And unfortunately, I got nothing nice to say about Xbox again. So, yeah, I mean, it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. It's kind of a little disappointing to me, and I'm going to tell you why. Because it's really not God of War, but if you really think about it this way, Sony's big show is in September, so they really just threw out a B show, and this is Xbox's chance to throw out an A show, and although it was decent,
I don't think Microsoft's show was bad. I just don't think it really caters to what we want to do, personally.
Right, but
excuse me.
But a B show, you would think. I mean, it's a B show. It shouldn't be up there with Microsoft's show. And, Microsoft said everything that we wanted to hear the first couple of minutes. Every game that's going to be revealed is going to be coming out within the next year or so. And that kind of felt like a lie at the end of the show.
Yeah, that's not necessarily true. A lot of PR speak does that. I don't know. Sony had a lot of impactful, like RE4 remake and then getting a release date and starting your show out. That's very impactful. People love that fucking game. So getting a
Yeah.
remake and it looked really good. And then we actually see in Final Fantasy 16 to end it off, and then a Street Fighter 6 reveal. Like, I don't know. It might, in a lot of people's minds, it might be a B show, but these are top tier games. These are games that have been living since the end of effing time.
Well,
But they're coming back and more powerful and better than ever with bigger budgets. Listening to the fandoms, it looks all three of those big hitters I just mentioned. Street Fighter, Resident Evil 4, and Final Fantasy 16. That's pretty damn impressive just to have that alone on your State of Play. Obviously, it was on other shows as well. They showed, like I said, they showed Guile and some other characters on other shows and stuff like that. And obviously, Microsoft and had the big third-party announcements of Persona, which we'll get into and stuff. But it's
really,
go ahead.
It's really the B show because PlayStation can give you more.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what we have, and it's still great. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not trying to knock it, but PlayStation, with everything that we heard of, with the things that was rumored to come out, they didn't show God of War, which is their A-tier product. And they still had the best show of Game Fest.
Yeah.
So to think about it,
for us, I mean, I don't know if objectively it was, because Microsoft just showed 3 times as more things than Sony had, but just the impactfulness of those 3 titles alone, and then giving other studios a chance, like Eterna Knights, and then debuting Callisto Protocol, which we're all sold on that game. That game looks fucking awesome. Like, horror is back better than ever, and that's cool as shit. And then VR 2. You got your VR 2 announcement out of the way, right? You showed a bunch of games for it. I didn't list every single game, but Saints and Sinners 2 and a bunch of other stuff you had. Call of the Mountain, I think, for Horizon. They had a lot of impactful stuff. So I know it was a tiny little show, but it was pretty good of what they're showing. But you're right, like Microsoft, their impact should be a little bit better. But before we get to them, let's talk about Square Enix and Capcom, because they had the shows in the middle, right before Microsoft, I would say. Or maybe it was a little after Microsoft. And, the pod before this, we did a little bit of a guessing game, and, we were just giving our predictions of what we thought would actually be there. But Square, Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, Rebirth, they're calling it. They showed gameplay of that. Crisis Core Reunion, which is which I dubbed the Remakester. It is, it's completely remade, but all the animations and everything are the same. It's the same game. They didn't change anything, so it's a Remakester. The dialogue is going to be pretty funny in that game. I think a lot of people might not necessarily like it. But that was cool. You got to kind of take what you get on that. I've never thought we would actually get I've always wanted to replay Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core. And it's a PSP game getting fully rebuilt in a nice new engine. Looks really good. They got all the voice cast of 7 Remake, so that matches of what's going on in the 7 Remake, trilogy, which they confirmed is a trilogy. They're ending at the 3rd game. I thought it might go 4 games, but they're going to end on the 3rd game. So this 2nd game should be pretty big and meaty, and they showed what what some of the events from the original Final Fantasy VII, that particular scene that I won't spoil, but they showed some of that stuff. They also had a new mobile game, Final Fantasy First Soldier, and then Ever Crisis is another mobile game. But Square's stuff actually was kind of good. What'd you think of all that stuff?
The the Square stuff, right? I'm sorry, they came in again.
Yeah, no, it's good. I saw you.
Yeah.
But Final
Yeah.
Fantasy Rebirth, Final Fantasy Crisis Core
Oh,
Reunion. So
I thought they did a lot for 10 minutes.
yeah, they
They
did.
they did a lot. They announced the ending. Well, it's going to be 3 games. So, they all end with R, seems like.
Yeah, yeah, they do.
And Crisis Core, we talked about that last night, the reunion. That's supposed to come out this year.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I wonder if it's actually coming out this year. I mean, if it doesn't come out this year, I mean, you're looking at 2023 as the year of the Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
Potentially.
Their timeline looks really good because if Reunion comes out this year, and then the first half of spring, spring we get
Yep.
16, and then fall/winter we're supposed to get Rebirth. And Rebirth is has a lot of significance to it because we talked about that in the spoiler cast of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Shout out to everybody that joined me for that. That they're kind of going in a different direction, and Rebirth kind of seals the deal. It kind of gives you, and there's been a lot more. There's been interviews saying that they're not gonna completely wipe everything around, but they're gonna have those moments you really want, but they also want some new content for people that never played before, and then people who have played before. They don't want you to be bored because you know what everything's happening, which is honestly kind of smart, and I'm interested to see where that goes. And like you said, for 10 minutes, it's pretty impactful. Even if you don't care about the mobile game stuff like me, I don't know. I know Chad does. Shout out to the Bearded Wonder. I know he loves the mobile stuff. Me, not so much. I rather play games on my console and things like that. But honestly, pretty impactful. Was there anything more you wanted out of that, or that was kind of just good enough?
Well, being like a Final Fantasy, I guess you would say virgin, since the last couple of years I've been getting into Final Fantasy. I mean, it's the most that I'm gonna get.
Yeah.
So right now, I mean, in 10, 15 minutes, I mean, you get a whole impact of Final Fantasy, Crisis Core. I don't know if they talked about 16 there, but we know that it's coming next summer, like you mentioned before. So, and everything, everything with Square, you kind of have to take with a grain of salt for now, because you never know what's going to be pushed back or not. So, I mean, Rebirth might come out the beginning of 2024.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you never really know.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, the potential of 2023. I mean, Crisis Core could get pushed back, or it could still come out this year, and then Rebirth might get pushed back.
I'm pretty confident the Crisis Core, because it seems like it was done. It seems like they put a lot of effort and time.
Yep.
They already had some of it dubbed already, which means they were recording it for a while now. And the same thing with Rebirth. Rebirth actually was dubbed a little bit, I think, too, which was kind of shocking. Because people are like, "Is this real gameplay? Is this not gameplay?" And it was like pseudo gameplay. It was like a little bit of both, like mashed up together for Rebirth.
Yeah.
But honestly, expectations pretty low for that, and they showed some good stuff for that. Now let's talk about Capcom's event. We finally got the reveal of the RE8 DLC. It's gonna have Rose. We're getting a third-person mode with that as well. PS5 upgrades for all the Resident Evil games, 7, 2, and 3 remake, which is really cool, and they're free. If you own it already, disc or digital, you get a free upgrade for all those, which is very cool. Very, very cool. Dragon's Dogma 2 is actually, a thing. I know Rollo's jumping up and down, and all the people that love Dragon's Dogma all the way back in PS3 days. That's how long it's been. And I know they kind of remastered it for PC and PS4, but that game really shows its age, so I'm excited to actually see what they actually do for Dragon's Dogma 2. Exoprimal, I know you're not the biggest fan of looking like that, and it's not really Dino Crisis. But the futuristic dinosaur Destiny game looks like it's pretty. It looks like it'd be pretty fun. I tried to get into the beta, but I wasn't able to get into. I didn't get a code. So I'm not ready to like put the nail in the coffin of that game. I know everybody like as soon as they hear like Destiny like game, they're like, they shudder a little bit,
Yeah.
But I don't know. You got to give some of these games their due before you wanna end it. But I know a lot of people are very judgmental, and I get it. And everything is competing for your time, and you can only give it to certain things, and obviously things have more priority than futuristic exo primal dinosaur game. Obviously the RE8 DLC, and then RE4 remake and shit like that. All of that's more priority. I guess it was too early, but I was thinking we might have got Monster Hunter World 2. Maybe we'll see that at Sony show. Monster Hunter World 2. I feel like it's time for that. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, we talked about that too. Yeah, it is definitely time for that. Monster Hunter is the thing now. I feel like everything is Monster Hunter around me. Obviously we play with Brandy, and he
Shout out
he
to
loves
Brandy,
the Monster
fan
Hunter.
of the show.
But they just came out with a new expansion for the Switch, and it's been a minute. What is it, 2017 since Monster Hunter?
2018.
PS4?
2018. Monster Hunter
Yeah.
World 2018. It was nominated for Game of the Year that year with God of War, Assassin's Creed, Celeste,
Red Dead?
and Red Dead Redemption 2. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. It's about time. One thing that I want to mention real quick. Shout out to Dragon's Dogma for having an announcement of an announcement. I thought that was very clever. I thought that was actually fucking hilarious. So,
very laughable in my opinion. Like I know you're half-heartedly joking, but I know I can see you grinning from here. But
yeah.
It's like announcement of announcement, and we still didn't really get much to have a logo.
I just remember talking to Wallow. We're like, oh, they announced that they're gonna have an announcement, and it was like Thursday or something.
Yes.
This coming Thursday, so we'll probably see gameplay and stuff. And he was like, oh yeah, oh okay. And then they showed just literally a logo, and that Kate like their fans must be so fucking pissed off. I find it funny.
I find it very
it's
funny.
like-
I think again, it's you got to take what you can get. Like, obviously, it probably wasn't ready to be announced, but you want to build the hype anyway, and just to make them happy for a little bit. Like it's been for us Persona fans, it's been a real quiet year. We're supposed to have like all these announcements of Persona shit, and we haven't gotten like nothing. So, people, you gotta kind of just take it what you can get. I know there'll always be people that are like, "Oh, fuck it," like get mad, but what are you gonna really do, man? You're getting Dragon's Dogma too, and I think that's obviously it's probably far from being finished, but it's still pretty cool. It's still a pretty cool thing to happen, and a very interesting Capcom show. I think the Square one for 10 minutes was way more impactful for what Capcom kind of hoard out and was at everybody else's things, and started with Sony, and I think most of their impact was at the Sony stuff. I think is the Sony getting the reveal of Street Fighter 6 is big. Like Street Fighter 6 already was announced before that, but like the actual reveal of characters and fighting and the look and the art style of the game, which everybody was super concerned about at first.
Yeah.
But it all looks really good. So to end the pod today, we're going to talk about Microsoft, Bethesda, and Nintendo, which was they kind of ended the month out of summer of no E3. I think there's supposed to be more. I think Ubisoft's supposed to be doing something soon, like in August or something. So we'll have some more pods. Just stay tuned for that. This one might not be the longest one, but this one's just catching up on all things that happened, because it was a pretty big announcement. San Diego Comic-Con just happened, and they kind of had some announcements, but nothing like super spectacular. So it's been a real kind of quiet summer, but the start of it, this June stuff, I think was actually pretty good, really really good. But let's talk about probably the biggest show in terms of length. I mean, they had, it was almost like 2 hours, hour and a half or something. But Microsoft and Bethesda. And did Microsoft and Bethesda bring it for you? I know you kind of alluded to it. But how was the show for you, Lou? Did they bring it?
It was solid, but it was very disappointing for me. I really want to see Microsoft break out with a good conference of exclusives, and not games that I could get on my PlayStation as well.
Yeah.
It's it's a good show. I'm not gonna say that it's not. It's solid. I just wanted more. I didn't get more, and I've been waiting for more for a long time. And I mean, we didn't even get, we thought of before in our pre-show, we thought that maybe Gears would be announced here.
Yeah, or a Gears collection or something.
Yeah, we didn't even get anything to that. So I don't even know. Did we get a Halo update, like a new season update or anything like that?
I don't have it in the notes, so I don't think we really did. I know they're doing a season 2 of Halo for sure, but
yeah, we didn't really get much to talk about for me to say, well, you know what, I want to go get an Xbox because of that exclusive. I mean, I already got a PS5, and most of the games they showed I could play on the PS5. I got a Steam Deck now, so I could probably play it on Steam. So I'm waiting for Microsoft to really do something to say that we're in the console race. And until they really do with some exclusives, I really thought it's going to take some time with Bethesda and whatever they have going with Activision and them. So it's going to take some time.
The Activision deal's not done until 2023, so next July.
Yeah, that's why I say it's going to take some time, but it's been too long now. I need to start seeing some potential, because soon we're going to get into another console coming out. And when another console comes out, what are you going to remember about this console?
The XXL.
Like, what do you remember about the previous one? What do you remember about the Xbox? What is it, Xbox One X?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember? Do you remember anything about that console? I mean, that console came out for a year.
The world's most powerful console. I remember that was like the tagline for it.
Yep, it was only around for a year, maybe a year and a half. So, what am I going to remember about the next-gen Xbox console? What is going to make me want to go and play a next-gen Xbox console?
Yeah.
So, I know it sounds very casual as fuck, but it's true. It's
it's the market they want, though, is the casualness. I actually got to experience the Series X a little bit because of my little cousin Jack, who has one, and the thing's personally ugly looking, but incredibly fast. The quick resume, the Game Pass, all that stuff, really really good. But you're kind of in the same boat as I am. And every Microsoft conference, I feel like the last 30 Microsoft conference is just Game Pass. And it's smart. It's smart to do that because you're getting Shredder's Revenge Day 1, which I forgot to mention. That was another game I was playing before I left. They got it Day 1 on Game Pass. You're getting new games like Power Wash Simulator. Shout out to Jack. Love that game. He's loving that game. But they definitely brought the Game Pass to it. But I think they had a quietly good show. You know, they had Redfall, which is their new shooter, vampire looter, Fortnite type game from Bethesda. Silksong, High on Life, Overwatch 2 was announced here. Aria History Untold, or revealed that it was free to play here, I should say. Arc 2, they had Scorn, that horror game that's coming out for them in the next month or two. That looks pretty good. Diablo 4 looks really nice. The Wulong game, the next Neo type game from Ninja, that shit looks really good. But again, you can play it on a PS5 though. We found that out. The big reveal of the Personas, Persona 3 Portable, Persona 4 Golden, and Persona 5 being on an Xbox console and Game Pass Day 1. The Hideo Kojima game, which is another announcement of an announcement. No.
And then there'll be another announcement of an announcement later on.
Yeah,
so like 4 announcements before we get a name.
Inception. And then they ended it with their big stunner, Starfield. So I know we talked about it, not on the pod, but off camera. I feel like they're really doing the work of people that really love shooters still. And I think they got a lot of good ones. And there was a lot missing here, though, like Hellblade 2, Fable, Perfect Dark, Everwild. Some of the exclusives they announced previously, Avowed. We all found out, like, all 5 of those games are, like, in trouble. They're, like, in deep shit, And what's the other one? What's the other Fallout and space game? Not Starfield. What's the other one?
Oh, Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds 2, that's enough. So, I mean, majority of those games are shooters, I think they're doing a good job feeding that in, but I think they need more IP diversity. And that's what I failed to see from that, besides the announcements of some things. And obviously, they're not going to be a Sony right away, but and then Sony has the terrible misconception is they just make open world third person games, but they do more than that. They've done quite a bit. All those games are very different. But it's
a beautiful way to use diversity in a sentence.
Yeah, I don't mean it like that, but I mean it in the actual contextual way of what it actually meant.
No, I get exactly what you mean, and I'm going to piggyback off that. And the one thing that they are missing from that is basically a good storied single-player game. Do you get single-player shooters?
Yep.
Do they really have like single-player, not single-player, shooting multiplayer games? Yeah, it's Halo. You can still go back and play Gears.
Redfall, Gears. Yeah.
Redfall, I mean, everything that they're doing is mixing in with their fan base, and it's what I wanted. So, I feel like they should drive their fans towards what they should build games towards. Mm-hmm. Just for me, I'm not really interested in getting an Xbox because they really don't have what I like. Yeah. And I'm challenging them to give me games that I would like, because you can have all these shooter games, and you can have all this, and they're fun. You'll play hours and hours upon hours, but will you play a single player game? Will you play a single player game for a long time with a great story and be memorized? Yeah, you will. Like, we still remember Last of Us. We still talk about Last of Us. Even though that number 2 was, in my opinion, shit.
God of War, Spider-Man.
God of War, Ghost of Tsushima. Like, those are games that, like, when you talk about PlayStation, that defines them and how they are. And if I can get all that and the stuff that they're showing on PlayStation, why would I need an Xbox? Mm-hmm. So, why would I need it? What do you have that's exclusive that could get me that too? So, I mean, it appeases, they're appeasing really the PC group of gamers because they're showing everything fast and, all that type of stuff. And things here are not as fast, but they're quick here too. So,
the SSD does make a difference, man. It's very quick. The PS5 is a very powerful console.
Right. So, if I'm getting the exclusives and I'm just getting just as quick and I'm getting the the multi-platform games here, why would I consider getting an Xbox? Because getting an Xbox is not just getting an Xbox; it's also getting Game Pass, and it's also you
That's
got to get the Ultimate Game Pass with the gold. So
that's
you make it a
basically
commitment.
that's the reason to do it, though. I do want to get a Series X eventually, but that's the reason to do it is Game Pass because you're just getting all this shit day one, and you don't have to worry about it. I know we got the premium now, which I think is very good, especially for you were talking to your uncle, but I said very good for the casual fan. If you're just getting a
Yeah.
PS5, get the middle one for $100 because you're getting all those PS4 and PS5 games that you haven't played yet, like Returnal and Demon Souls and all the exclusives, Ghost of Tsushima, Death Stranding, all that shit, which is all great, all fantastic. I mean, that's the one thing we need to probably appreciate a little bit more. I know Sony gets a lot of hate, but the fact that Sony has hit so many home runs with a lot of their exclusives has opened this for conversation. It has put pressure on Microsoft to buy Bethesda and buy Activision and buy other studios, and they're gonna guess what? It's not ending. They're gonna be hungry. They finally convinced Atlas, and Sega to put Persona on there, and then we found out Nintendo did the same thing, right? So Atlas
Yep.
and Sega are gonna get a bunch of money, and I know some diehard PlayStation fans are upset about that, and understandable, but it's how things go. Like, some of these games are like 15 years old, man. Like, it's not the end of the world. I'm interested to see going forward, like, if Persona 6 is exclusive. If it isn't, that's pretty big. But I'm assuming Sony they will go that route. They'll pay a little bit extra and make it exclusive for like a year or two. Kind of like what they did with 7 Remake and a few other things they did with Square.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of
You gotta
rumors
look at
of
it-
trying to buy Square right now, which is also very interesting. I don't know if I necessarily love it. I know some people do, but I
Who
want.
was buying Square?
Huh?
What'd you say? Who was buying Square? You kind of cut out a little bit for me.
Sony's interested in getting Square, and I don't know if I necessarily would love that, because I don't want both these companies just to be a monopoly and just buy buy some of the small, take chances with the smaller studios, and Sony has done that thoroughly through the roof. They've bet on little studios that become big studios, triple the size where they can make 2-3 games. So I'm not necessarily hating on that, and I don't hate Microsoft thinking big. You got the money, go get it, right? But it gets into a scary territory, in my personal opinion. Just speaking from what I think, because you've seen what Disney has done. Disney has like 2 of my most favorite things in Star Wars and Marvel, and they're both kind of, going down a little bit. They're not what they used to be. And with video games, you have this issue too. You could definitely have these because video games. A lot of people forget. Like, video games are very expensive. So most of these games, AAA games, are 100 million plus minimum.
I look at it this way.
Yeah.
It seemed like that they were after Square Enix. What was it? Tokyo or Japan? Was it Tokyo? Right?
Yeah.
It seemed like that they were going for a part of Square. And if they get the whole thing of Square, I mean, why not?
Yeah.
It's just going to make room for other companies to grow.
It's a possibility. It is a real possibility. We talked about what acquisitions they would try to do.
Well, we've been talking about this for 2 years now.
Yeah.
With Square Enix and Sony, and we haven't heard anything from either side.
Yeah.
That gives you that idea. It's just rumors.
These take a long time, and there's a lot of discussion, and there's a lot of movement, and a lot of these things take a while. Like even we mentioned Microsoft with Activision, right? They announced that thing like a year ago already, but they don't have it till 2023. Nothing's finalized or dotted till like 2023 in July. And the Activision and the Call of Duty doesn't expire till 2026 or something. So
I just would think if we're close to Square and Sony acquisition, I would think that it would kind of be the worst kept secret out there.
Sony
And
is Sony's been having a bad leak problem too. I mean, they
yeah,
they haven't been able to keep a lot of things under wraps, but there is a lot of things
specifically
that
Naughty Dog.
there is a
Naughty
lot.
Dog's been having that problem.
Yeah, they for sure have. You're absolutely right about that. Naughty Dog's probably. I feel unfortunately it's a bummer for them. But they need better security. They need to tighten it up a little bit. But that's the interesting part because, like you said, it's all rumors and stuff. But what if they unveil it in September in their showcase, right? There's going to be more acquisitions. They finally got the Bungie and the Jade's Haven to go through, right? They finally fully acquired those two studios. So, I mean, these take it's a long process. It's really interesting. I'm interested to see how it shapes out. I'm interested for their showcase. Let's talk about the final thing here, though. Nintendo, they had a mini direct, which is funny because it was still 29 minutes, but it counted as a mini direct because it wasn't 30 minutes long. But 29-minute mini direct of third-party stuff, which also ended with Persona. And they had Nier Automata finally make it on the Switch, which is pretty good. They had the Mario & Rabbids game got a release date, right? There's a Mega Man Battle Network collection. Harvestella is a new Square game that they're making, which is like their version of, God, what is that? Stardew Valley? Everybody, like, a lot of people love that Stardew Valley game. Super Bomberman R2 got announced there. Sonic Frontiers, and there was quite a few more. But for a Nintendo Direct Mini for third party, Nintendo's been kind of quiet too for their first party stuff. So I wonder if there's another Direct coming up around the same time as Sony's thing, either September, August, or October, probably around that area. But for 29 minutes, pretty impactful. Nintendo fans finally get their Personas on the Switch. They don't have to punch air anymore. Because I saw a lot of them punching air when Microsoft got the announcement first. But I don't know, a pretty solid direct. I would rather see their exclusive stuff because I play a lot of exclusive Switch games, not a lot of third party stuff. I'm already playing Nier and Persona. I'm already playing that on my PS5, man. I ain't playing that on my Switch. Doesn't mean I wouldn't necessarily buy them on sale or anything like that, because the Switch does have some good sales. Nintendo actually does have some good sales lately.
Yeah, you're not gonna buy it.
But
you're not gonna play it there.
But the portability has really drove that console. I mean, it sold 100 million. It's doing well. I'm ready kind of for the Switchy 2. I'm very excited for Bayonetta 3. That wasn't on here. That was shown later. But Bayonetta 3 got an announcement too. I'm very excited about that. So Nintendo, they have a lot to look forward to this year, especially the summertime. They had the new Fire Emblem game come out, which was a Dynasty Warriors game. Xenoblade just came out today, and then they have Bayonetta in the fall, which is big. So they've had a pretty big year, and they had the Pokemon games come out in November. And then they had the Pokemon Arceus game in January. So Nintendo has quietly had a very strong year. But they're putting that money out. They're putting that money out like crazy. But what were your thoughts of that Direct, to kind of end things out here?
When we have our pod for Nintendo Switch 2,
One day.
When we sit down and we talk about what we want from it, think about the best qualities for a system 10 years ago. And that will be the Nintendo Switch 2.
Most likely.
Yeah, that's how we're going to look at the situation. But
Nintendo does Nintendo things, Lou. And it works for them. For whatever reason, it just works for them.
Yeah, they beat their own drum, and I get it. But as for Persona, I think it's very good that they're expanding from the Switch to Xbox. I know not a lot of people are not gonna
Make your money,
but
man. If you're a
make
gaming
your
studio,
money.
make money, man.
Yep.
Make money.
Make become one of the best JRPGs out there. Expand upon the great storytelling that you have.
This happened to Final Fantasy years ago. It's the same thing with
Yep.
Persona. Same path.
It happened with Kingdom Hearts,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just going to happen that way, and good for them, good
Yep.
for Atlas, because maybe the more money that we get, that they get, I should say. I'm not making shit.
Yeah, I wish we got some of that money, dude. Just a little bit.
Maybe games come out a little bit quicker. Maybe, we get more of it. There was that rumor going around that Brandy mentioned, and that there's a couple articles out there. They asked their fans about what would you like. I think it was remade or some shit like that.
Yeah,
And
Persona.
it ended up being Persona 2 and Persona 3 were tied. So, the last time they did something like that, it was, would you want to see Persona on Xbox? So,
Mm-hmm. And it happened.
we'll see.
And it happened, yeah.
And it happened.
It's an excellent point you just made. The more money they get, the quicker these games come out. Makes Chad Bearded Wonder a lot happier.
Yeah.
Inside joke. Makes it a little bit happier. He's less grumpy, grouchy. More money, better engines, better quality games, more they can add to the game. It's exactly what Lou said. I mean, it's very, very smart. I do want to put money on it, though. I feel like Sony's going to try to make Persona 6 exclusive for at least a year.
Why not? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You can make that, and then what's the next game? Persona 6 Royal, let's just say.
Yeah.
Where they add more shit. Make that exclusive for another year.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna make. It's one of those games where if it's really good, people are gonna play it.
Yeah.
So
and built.
Xbox, Nintendo.
Yep.
So
it's gonna sell so much on the Switch alone. It's gonna be insane. It's gonna be insane. They're gonna make so much money. Did you end up liking that show though, Lou? What they showed?
Nintendo.
Yeah, the mini direct.
I thought it was solid. Gosh, man, I remember watching the show in the party with you because I ended up watching a couple of days later.
You did.
And I know we were cracking jokes, and some of them we'll keep to ourselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was solid. The Mario Robert game was solid.
That game's really good too, man. I want to get the first one. I keep missing out when it's on sale for $10.
Yeah, you should get it. I played a little bit of it, and then I got bored. So,
I really like
stopped
XCOM,
playing.
and I really like XCOM, and that's what that's the engine. That's the battles they use is the XCOM stuff. Because XCOM is such a fun game, a very hard strategy RPG game. But I just love making my friends in that game and seeing if you guys survive the aliens and stuff. It's very cool, very fun. But Nintendo, nice little solid third-party mini direct. I'm interested to see their first-party stuff. Right? We know Breath of the Wild 2 got pushed back, but Bayonetta to end the Bayonetta and Pokemon to end the year out, it's not bad. They're gonna make a shit ton of money.
When is Splatoon 3 coming?
Yes, that's probably. I think that's August, right, or September. It might be September.
Is it September? So they're gonna have a pretty decent end of the year too.
They
had
good
summer, good end of the year.
This might be their year. This might be their year of just quality, great titles. Even Strikers, even the problems I have with Strikers, still sold a shit ton. I bet it sold so much. But I want to thank Lou and the audience and Savage and everybody that's gonna watch the video and like it. Make sure you smash the hell out of that like button. Definitely comment below what you thought of the Summer No E3. This was our catch up on it. I apologize. Next week we'll have Stranger Things Season 4, or Stranger Things 4, whatever you want to call it. I think that's what they call it, just Stranger Things 4. We will do a pod on that. Lou and I will be back, but I want to thank him. I want to thank everybody. It's good to be back. Apologize for not having this up sooner, but hey, I've been your fellow Strauss fan, the GG. That's Skip to my Lou, and we're outie.
See ya.